As you remember, in the last session, we started discussing our topic, what is democracy? And as you know, our discussion is based on Robert Dahl's book on democracy. It is its fourth chapter. And let me recap what we discussed in the last session. You may recall Robert Dahl asked us, suppose you form a group and there are 10, 20 members in that group, and you are asked to write a constitution. Write a constitution. And in the next meeting, you tell the group members that I understand the purposes of this group, but I don't know how to go about decision making. Will it be okay if we form a separate committee and we authorize some few individuals who are more capable and who are well informed to make decisions on our behalf? So one of these group members speaks up and makes objections. He objects. He says, no, all of us are equally capable of understanding the issues at hand, and all of us are equally capable of taking part in decision making. So that speaker is called the main speaker, and majority agrees with the main speaker. Fine. So today, the next part of our discussion is criteria for a democratic process. Robert Dahl discusses criteria for a democratic process. Yes, someone is calling. Let me. So let me. I turn my phone on silent mode. It will be helpful. Okay, Jay. Yes, we are discussing Robert Dahl's criteria for democratic process. So Robert Dahl says there are many complex and confusing ideas about democracy. But is it possible to find some clear rules for it? Is it possible to find some clear rules for democracy? Can we find what is needed to make sure all members have an equal right to take part in the group's decisions? Can we make it sure? I believe there are at least 5 such rules or standards. Robert Dahl says, I believe that there are at least 5 such rules or 5 such standards which suit democracy. What are those criteria or those standards? Number 1, effective participation. Repeat. Number 1, effective participation. Before a policy is accepted, all members must have an equal and fair chance to share their opinions. All members must have an equal and fair chance to share their opinions. Everyone should be able to tell others what they think the policy should be. So everyone should have the right, everyone should be allowed to tell what they think, what they want to say. Everyone can share their views and take part in discussions. Okay? So when I asked you, you are the class fellows. Suppose you are members of this group. When I ask, no, there's a time you can ask questions or make comments. But if I say only the first two rows or the last two rows are this side or this side, only this side can ask the question, this side cannot. Will it be democratic? Is it democratic? No, it is not democratic. When the floor is open for everyone, it is equality. So it means you are being treated as equal members in this room, in this class, in this group. So when we put restrictions, we exclude some people and include some. It is not democracy. So everyone can share their views and take part in discussions. Similar is the case when a group runs, a group works. So in fact, a nation, it is like a group. It is a big group, but it is a group. So if all the members of this group, they have some share in decision making, in law making, they have some share in the state resources, so then it is democracy. But if some of the communities are excluded, it is not democracy. Everyone can share their views and take part in discussions. It is the first criteria, effective participation. What is the second criteria? Voting equality. When it is time to make the final decision, every member must have an equal and fair chance to vote. Fair chance to vote. All votes must be counted equally. Everyone's vote has the same value. No, everyone's vote has the same value. Just imagine that I say these 10 or 15 students, every one of them has 5 votes, and the sitting in the other seats, those rows, they have only 1 vote. So suppose you are making a decision. These 15 people, each of them has 5 votes. So it means they have 75 votes. 15 multiplied by 5, 75. But the remaining 20 people, they have 1 vote. So it means they have only 20 votes. So whenever they will be voting, who will win? These 15 people. They are minority, they will win. Majority, which is 20, they will lose. So it is not equality. It is not equality of vote. So in order to to give a proper share to each and everyone, to fair share to each and everyone, it is must that vote of every member, that vote of every citizen is treated equally. Vote of every citizen is treated equally. Number 3, the third criteria, enlightened understanding. What is it? Enlightened understanding. Every member must have an equal and fair chance to learn about the different policy options. Everyone, each citizen, every member of the group, any group, must have an equal chance to learn about the policy choices. Everyone can learn about different choices and their results. If this choice is taken, what will be the results? If this choice is taken, what will be the consequences? So everyone should have the right to learn this, to know this. They should also understand what the results of each option might be. This should be done within a reasonable amount of time. The fourth criteria, the fourth standard for a democracy, control of the agenda. Repeat with me, control of the agenda. The members must have the full right to decide what topics will be discussed and how. What topics will be discussed and how will they be discussed. If they wish, they can choose what matters to add to the agenda. What matters should be added, may be added to the agenda. So all the members should have this right. This means the decision-making process is never closed. So the decision-making process should be open for all. Members can always change the group's policies if they want to. Yes? Sorry? It may be problem with your software. I think it's okay with me. So, show me. Wait. No, wait. I say wait. There is a button which is called. There is a button which is used for so that you see only one slide at a time. There's no button. Look, I have only one slide. I see only one slide at a time. There's a button here on the left side in my software.
सर वैसे अवार्ड आप काफ़ी ज़्यादा स्टूडेंट्स का
Is that
आपका भी है उसका भी है सबके काफ़ी ज़्यादा स्टूडेंट्स
okay? I will look into later. I will look into it after we complete this discussion. So it can be solved. Don't worry. It can be solved. Remind me at the end. Okay, members can always change the group's policies if they want to. People can decide what issues to discuss and what policies to change. And the fifth standard or the fifth criteria, inclusion of adults. Repeat with me. Inclusion of adults. All or at least most adult permanent residents should have full citizen rights. Should have full citizen rights. All or most adult citizens have full rights to take part in the democratic process. These rights include everything mentioned in the first 4 points. Before the 20th century, most supporters of democracy did not accept this idea. Did not accept this idea before the 20th century. Now, why these criteria? Robert Dahl says these 5 criteria are must for a democracy. Now he explains, he philosophizes why I have selected these 5 criteria. He says the short answer is simple. What is the simple answer? Each point is necessary if all members are to be politically equal in making decisions. This is the short answer to the question. Why this five criteria? Because these are necessary if all members are to be politically equal in making decisions. If any one of this criteria is missing, there will be no guarantee that all members are treated equally in decision making. In other words, if any rule is broken, members will not be politically equal. For example, if some members get more chances to share their opinions, their ideas may win more often. More often. Even in the worst case, if discussion is limited, a small group could end up making all the decisions. You know, in the assemblies, in the provincial assemblies, in the local councils, in the National Assembly, in the Senate, all members, they have a chance to speak. They have a chance to speak. But if members from a particular province, they are not allowed to speak, what will happen? They will not be happy on it, and the issues of that particular province will be ignored. They will be, and their interests will also be ignored. So, the members in the National Assembly and the Senate from all provinces, they have the chance to speak. Similarly, ladies and gents all are allowed to speak. Just imagine, ladies in the assemblies are never allowed to speak. What will happen? The issues and interests of the women will be ignored. They will be ignored. So all have a right to, all have a chance to speak, to say, to put their demands forward, so that they are addressed and an appropriate policy and law is made. The rule of effective participation helps prevent this from happening. So it is called effective participation. Effective participation when all have a right to participate in decision making, in law making, in policy making. Imagine that the votes of members are not counted equally. I have just told you, uh, if votes are unequal. For example, suppose votes are given more weight based on how much property a person owns. Some members have much more property than others. If we believe all members are equally able to take part in decisions, why should some votes count more than others? In the old times, in many democracies, in many republics, only the wealthy people, the propertied class, who owned land, who had land, who possessed land, they were allowed to take part in decision making. The people who did not own land, they were not allowed to take part in politics and decision making. There was a time, and those are also democracies. But with the passage of time, the other peoples who did not own land, they asked, we also need to take part. And with the passage of time, after a long struggle, they were also accepted into decision making, into politics. The first two rules may seem very clear and obvious, but you may wonder if the rule of enlightened understanding is really needed. If all members are equally qualified, why do we need this rule? And if they are not equally qualified, then why should we make a constitution that treats them as if they are equal? As the main speaker said, political equality means all members are equally able to take part in decisions. But this is true only if everyone has enough chances to learn about the issues. Only if everyone has enough chances to learn about the issues. They must be able to do this through study, through discussion, and through careful thinking. The third rule makes sure that every member has these chances. The third rule is the equal opportunity to understand, enlightened understanding. This idea was clearly expressed long ago in 431 before Christ era, BCE, by the Athenian leader Pericles. Pericles was a famous leader in Athens. He said that ordinary citizens, even while busy with their work, can still judge public matters fairly. Can still judge public matters fairly. He also said that discussion is not a problem for action. Discussion is not a problem for action. Instead, it is necessary for any wise action. If there is a discussion before making a decision, the decision will be better. The first three rules may seem enough when taken together, Robert Dahl is saying. But imagine that a few members secretly disagree with equal political rights for everyone. Few individuals secretly, they make some planning, secretly disagree with equal political rights for everyone. They tell you that the interests of the biggest property owners are more important than others. They may be the property owners, they may be the feudal lords. They make a secret plan. They say it would be best if the votes of these rich members counted more. Counted more. Maybe all of us, these wealthy people may have 5 votes or 10 votes or 100 votes as compared to a common person who has only 1 vote. They say it would be best if the votes of these rich members counted more so they could always win. But since that is not possible, they want a rule. So if they tell the other group members, we need more votes, obviously they will not agree. They won't agree. So they come up with a very cunning suggestion, a smart suggestion. They say, but since that is not possible, they want a rule that lets them win even if most members vote against them. This means they want to control decisions no matter what the majority decides. They come up with a clever plan. What is the plan? They suggest a constitution that seems to meet the first 3 rules and looks fully democratic, but they secretly add a condition that cancels those rules which ensure equality. They say that members can discuss and vote only on issues already chosen by an executive committee. They say there should be an executive committee, and who should be the members of those executive committee? Only the largest property owners can join this committee. And this committee will set the agenda. This committee, which has only rich people, wealthy property people, they will decide the agenda. So it means they want to control the agenda. What issues can be discussed in the group, in the assembly, and what issues cannot be discussed. By controlling the agenda, this small group can protect its own interests. This small property group can protect its own interests. They can make sure no proposal is ever discussed that goes against what they want. After thinking carefully, you reject their plan. You are not the rich person. You are not a rich person. You are a common person, and you reject their proposal. It goes against the principle of political equality that you must protect. Instead, you start looking for constitutional rules that meet the 4th criterion. This will make sure that what was the 4th criterion? Control of the agenda. The agenda should be controlled by all the members, of the group, all the members of the assembly. This will make sure that final control stays with all the members together. For members to be politically equal in running the group, all 4 rules must be followed. So it seems we have found the rules needed for a group to be truly democratic. Words about words. Here, Robert Dahl is discussing the word state. State. He says the word state is often used in unclear ways, in loose ways. So let me explain what I mean by it. Let me explain. Robert Dahl says, I explain what I mean by the word state. A state is a special kind of group, or a state is a special kind of association. It is different because it can make people follow its rules. Other groups, they cannot force a person, okay? They cannot coerce a person. They cannot punish their members, other groups. For example, if you are a member of a tennis club or a cricket club, if you don't play, if you quit, the group cannot punish you. Fine? But state is a group which has its rules, and if someone violates the rules, the state can punish. Okay? It is different because it can make people follow its rules. It does this through its strong power to enforce or punish. When people talk about the government, they usually mean the government of the state where they live. Usually, when we say the government is doing this, we don't say the government of Pakistan is doing this. Okay? But it is understood. We are talking about our own government. So, if you are in Sri Lanka, so the people are talking about the government, it means the government of Sri Lanka, the Sri Lankan government. So, when people talk about the government, they usually mean the government of the state where they live. In history, most states have ruled over people living in a certain area of land. Sometimes the borders of this land were clear, and sometimes the borders were disputed. So, a state can be seen as a territorial unit. A state can be seen as a territorial unit. It has a territory. A state is located in a territory, territorial unit. Now, at the end, before closing the chapter, Robert Dahl discusses some crucial questions related to this criteria, these 5 criteria, which are also very relevant. So Robert Dahl says, have we now answered the question, what is democracy? If only it were that simple. So he says it is not that simple. Explaining democracy is a tough job. It is a complex phenomenon. The answer we have so far is a good starting point, but it also raises many more questions. But it also raises many more questions. Please ask them not to make nice. Yes. For example, the rules discussed may work well for a small group or club. But can these same rules also work for running a whole state? Some people may find faults in my short explanation of the word state. Many writers and thinkers have written so much about the state that their work could fill a small forest with paper. So much has been written on the state that it can fill the whole forest, the paper. But what I have said is enough for our purpose. Now let us return to our question. Can we apply the same rules to the government of a state? Ravada says, yes, we can. Yes, we can apply these same rules, same criteria to a state. In fact, the main focus of democratic ideas has always been the state. Other groups, like some religious organizations, also helped shape democratic ideas later on. But from ancient Greece and Rome, democracy mainly grew as a way to make state governments more democratic. Worth saying again that no state has ever had a government that fully meets all the rules of a democratic process. So far, no government has ever fulfilled all the criteria completely. Always there is some missing, there is some gap. It is also unlikely that any state will ever will. So there are minimum chances that even in future, a state can fulfill these criteria 100%. There will remain some shortages, but these rules are still very useful. Although a state cannot fulfill them completely, but even then, these rules are useful. They are helpful. They help us measure how well a government ideas and how much it can improve. Another question. Another question arises: can any group or organization ever truly meet all these rules? In other words, can any real association be fully democratic? In the real world, is it possible for every member to have equal chances to take part, understand issues, and influence decisions? Is it possible in the real world? Probably not. Robert Dahl says probably not. No association can fully meet all these rules. But does that make the rules useless? Are they just impossible, dreamy ideas? The simple answer is no. They are very useful. These rules act as ideal standards to measure real democratic systems. They help us judge how well groups or governments perform. They also guide us in improving laws, in improving systems, and in improving institutions. For those who believe in democracy, these rules raise good questions and help find answers. As the saying goes, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. A third question arises: even if these rules are helpful, are they enough to design democratic institutions? These 5 rules, are they enough to design democratic institutions? Suppose you are asked to create a democratic constitution and plan a government system. Could you design it directly from these rules alone? Clearly not. Think of an architect. You know architects who design buildings, who design your homes. They are called architects. The client may give some basic ideas like size of the house, style, rooms, how many rooms there will be, cost, and time. The client, the customer, may tell these things to the architect. But the architect still needs to consider many more specific details before making the final plan. The same is true for designing political institutions. The same is true for designing political institutions, for making constitutions. It is not easy to understand and apply democratic standards in real life. To do this, we must face real political situations and challenges. We will have to make many decisions based on theory and practical needs. When we use many standards together, they may sometimes clash. Then we must decide which values are more important and make trade-offs. We have to make trade-offs. Trade-offs means compromises. So when Zulfikar Ali Bhutto prepared the Constitution, 1973 Constitution, he consulted all the major stakeholders in the country, and he did bargaining and compromises. He accepted one of the demands of the opposition and asked them to accept one of his demands in return. So this way, one issue is decided, the next issue is decided, then third. So this way, the constitution was prepared. So it was a long, lengthy process. One more important question comes up: The main speaker's ideas were accepted without question. But why should we accept them? Why should we think democracy is a good thing, especially for running a state? If democracy depends on political equality, why should we believe in equality that may seem strange or unrealistic? But if we do not believe in political equality, how can we truly support democracy? And if we do believe in equality among citizens, should we not also support inclusive citizenship? Inclusive citizenship, when all the people living in the state are considered as citizens. Now, we will look at these tough questions more closely in the coming chapters, next chapters. So, here Robert Dahl concludes his chapter 4, What is Democracy? So, now we will have, I think we have time for discussion, question and answer.